Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, geez, don't you know it?
Yeah.
I'm Kenyan.
Oh, you are on the ball. I'm Lucy.
Oh, you're also on the bow. I'm Amanda.
Hey, you're on the ball too.
We're
Right
on
before
the-
this recording,
is the
we were
bow.
all doing our best James Blunt impressions.
Yep, you're on the ball. You're on the ball. That's right.
Wine and Crime.
You're both really good at it, and it's kind of alarming.
Okay. This week we have a very special fan pick brought to you by Gabby Mueller or Mueller.
Oh.
Mueller.
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 Gabby
Gabby.
M.
Gabby M. Gabby, maybe it's Gabby.
Beam.
Jabby.
Jabby. Jabby has selected the topic of
Poor Jabby.
Law and Order SVU Crimes.
Oh, ISVU, what you did there.
I binge watch old rerun episodes of SVU every
Oh,
time
yeah.
I go to my mom's house.
Every time I'm in the hospital.
Yeah. Sure, that too.
I had never seen a single episode before yesterday, and I decided that I
Wow.
should get into the groove. I am not a fan of like scripted primetime basic cable dramas.
I just love really procedural television.
Yeah, there's something comforting about it. I'm
Yeah.
not like a big Law and Order person. I like my crime dramas to be a little bit darker.
Yeah.
If it's not Mayor, then it's not going to do it
Yeah,
for me.
I literally just watch it at my mom's house on the couch all day.
You know, I could see myself absolutely watching it if I were like stricken with the flu and I was
Sure.
Yeah.
in bed, in and out of lucidity for like 72 hours. Then it would
Yeah.
be the perfect thing to just
Right.
have on.
Yes, it's just on in the background. It's just white noise. Elliot Stabler could get it.
Oh, that dead ass.
Deadass.
though.
Deadass has been making such a comeback.
The bubblest butt. It is gorge.
He's got
Yeah.
a globe on his backside.
I love.
Yeah. I also just want to do a quick disclaimer at the top here that there is a podcast that exists that is on the Exactly Right network. It's called That's Messed Up. And they basically I haven't listened to it yet because I'm super behind in my listening. But I think that each episode is around a different Law and Order episode.
Oh, cool.
I think
I
so,
didn't know
too.
that.
Yeah,
We're not
new.
trying. It's pretty new. We're not trying to rip their shit. This is just one episode. My
Yeah.
case is very SVU focused.
Mm-hmm. And it was a
but
fan pick, so blame Jabby.
blame
Jabby.
Jabby. But also, if you like this, then you should probably go check out their podcast. I bet it's great, and I want to check it out myself. So.
Yeah.
Well, that is exactly right.
Which we are
Good
not
job.
affiliated with, but we are big fans of.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
I love
Should
it.
we get right to the wine crime pairing, Amanda?
Let's do it. You know, our fan picker wanted us to honor Olivia Benson
Love.
by choosing
the
her
lip
fave.
liner game.
Oh, it's strong.
She's hot.
She's so gorgeous, it's not even fair. But
Yeah.
her go-to varietal is Cabernet Sauvignon. And
Little
I
Cab
happened, little Cab Sav, I happened to have one from our friends over at Winc Wine Club that I have
Oh, that's
not.
a real good one.
It is really good, and I feel like it's sadly sold out right now, but I have it in my, this is one of my favorites, so if I don't pick a wine, just plop this
Pop
in
it
my
in.
cart. Yeah, so I have a little stockpile of the Mercana Cab Sauv, but my God, it is so good. And definitely if you are not a member of Winc Wine Club, join so that you can keep an eye out for this when it comes back in stock because it's so worth it. And right now we are running an amazing special where if you head to trywinc.com/wine and crime special, because it's a special.
It's special.
It's special. You get 4 bottles for $29.95 and free shipping. I mean, that's a steal of a deal. It's like such a steal it could be featured on an episode of Law & Order.
Yeah, it's criminal.
It's criminal. It's a criminal steal.
Special Vineyards Unit.
Correct. SVU. So a little nicely done. Thank you for the assist. A little something about this wine. It's going to be, more medium bodied. It's nice and dry, so it's not going to be sweet, but it is fruit forward. It has notes of cranberry, pomegranate, red cherry, but it's balanced out by that like earthiness of red pepper. My mouth is fucking watering just actually talking about this. This is used with vegan winemaking, so vegans can drink this bad boy. It clocks in at 13.9% ABV. It's also a crack. We haven't had a nice crack in a while.
Yep.
And yeah, like I said, you're just going to have this really nice kind of classic velvety red fruit, like fruit forward, nice bold cab. But it's not going to knock you on your ass. And it pairs really nicely with things that we all love, like pizza and pasta.
Can you remind me briefly what makes a wine not vegan?
So they can use fish byproduct in the filtration process of wine.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And that's like the most common not vegan wine practice.
Gotcha.
It's sustainable, but it's not vegan.
Okay.
But this one is vegan.
And is there anything more Mercan than Law & Order?
I don't know if there is.
American.
Like Mercana. I love
I
it.
thought you were talking about Merkins.
Like
I
adjust your
haven't gotten to the
Merkin.
episode yet.
We will get to Mercans in my next drunk dive. Calling dibs.
God. Sir, you're Merkin. All right, so shall we crack?
Let's do it.
Hey,
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Here we go.
I'm drinking a Jack and Coke.
Duh.
oh, that sounds
very
so
refreshing.
good.
Ooh, that crack was gentle, but it happened.
Oh,
nice
shit.
crack. Sorry, I
Nice
talked
crack.
over it.
That's fine. I'm just going to get some ASMR. We're pouring the wine. And if you're watching from home, you can see this happening in real time.
That's nice.
Oh, look how like inky and gorgeous this is.
It's a really pretty color. That's like the color that I want my nails to be all winter.
all the time, yeah.
It's like the color of coagulated blood on the sidewalk after the young woman leapt from her apartment window.
Yeah, I saw that episode.
Lucy.
It's like 30%
cheers,
of the
everyone.
episode.
Cheers.
My God.
Lucy, what is our background and probably not psych for Law and Order SVU Crimes?
I'm kind of all over the place on this one. So
Great.
get ready. I have quite a few really fun facts for you. Okay.
I love it.
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit.
Woo!
These are their stories.
Don't use too much of it. We don't want to get sued.
Oh, right.
Okay.
I can sing it though.
We'll just do the voice flute.
Created by Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf.
Law and Order. What?
I also
What?
want to just say a quick anecdote.
Already?
So Zach's mom is a location scout for TV and movies, and back
And
in
my
like
dream woman.
yeah, and back in like her heyday of doing that job, because now she doesn't work full time at that anymore. But when she did a lot of location scouting for Law and Order.
So then she would know that they film most of their scenes in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where all the crime happens. Yeah. What do you expect? What do you expect?
Law and Order Special Victims Unit premiered on September 20th, 1999
I can't.
on NBC.
God bless. With a Y2K episode.
I'm sure.
It's a spin-off of regular Law and Order, which ran from 1990 to 2010. At the time, it tied with Gunsmoke for the longest-running dramatic show on television history, making it one of television's most successful franchises. It has been nominated for the most consecutive Emmy Awards of any primetime drama series. And now, Law & Order SVU is the longest-running scripted primetime drama, having aired 494 episodes, breaking the original Law & Order count to 456, and beating both the original Law & Order and Gunsmoke in number of seasons. There have also been, I think, more than 4 main spinoffs that have all since been canceled. So those include Law & Order Criminal Intent, Law & Order Trial by Jury, Law & Order UK, and Law & Order Los Angeles.
Okay.
Aha.
Lots of spinoffs. But this was also like a fucking moneymaker, probably for the reasons, like I said, you can just have the flu and zone out and watch like 16 seasons.
It's great.
This hard-hitting and emotional series from NBC's Law & Order brand chronicles the lives of the Special Victims Unit of the New York City Police Department, an elite squad of detectives who investigate crimes of sexual assault, child abuse, and domestic violence. It stars Mariska Hargitay.
Correct.
I was practicing that.
You did great.
As one-time lead detective and later Captain Olivia Benson, the commanding officer of the Special Victims Unit in a fictionalized version of the NYPD. Christopher Maloney, a.k.a.
Badass.
Hot Pants.
AKA Cupcake Maloney.
Seriously.
I'm hungry.
That ass should be illegal and needs its own zip code.
It needs
It
its own
needs
badge.
its own Emmy.
Yes, she
It needs its
a
own
badge.
SAG.
Yes, accurate.
But ironically, she's taut. So, Cute Butt Maloney played the other SVU lead detective, Elliot Stabler, until departing from the series in 2011 after 12 seasons. Maloney returned to star as Stabler in 2021 in the spin-off series Law & Order Organized Crime.
It's a new spinoff. I have seen the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, I think
Not
it
gonna
launched in
give
like
anything-
April.
Yeah, not going to give anything away, but they did his character dirty.
This is what I have heard.
But it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
I feel like Stabler would bounce back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
Law & Order SVU follows the style of the original Law & Order in that some episodes are loosely based on real crimes that have received media attention. These episodes are referred to as having been ripped from the headlines.
Oh, wow.
Such episodes take a real crime and fictionalize it by changing some details.
Sometimes a lot of details.
Yeah.
It's fiction.
Sometimes all of them. They did an episode that I watched a little while back that was like loosely based on the Bachelor franchise. That was a hoot.
Okay.
I like that.
They did one that was definitely based on Dead Fish Eyes, Robert Durst.
Oh, yeah. They did one that was based on piece of shit swimmer rapist.
Oh,
Brock
sure,
Turner.
sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Rapist. Piece of shit
Yeah.
swimmer rapist. That's all you need
Right.
to know.
We got it right. Yeah.
We got it. The series has received 91 award nominations and winning 33 of those awards. Mariska Hargitay was the first regular cast member on any Law & Order series to win an Emmy Award when she won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series in 2006.
So well earned.
Wow.
By the 17th season of SVU, Mariska was making $500,000 per episode.
Nice.
Fucking get it.
Get it. Bank that shit. That's so much money.
Cheers to you, Mariska.
And your paper.
Detective Benson. The Law & Order brand has tremendous global appeal, and to date, SVU has been sold to more than 250 territories around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Russia has its own spinoff.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Okay. That's really all I had to say about the show.
Great.
Okay.
So I decided to do some digging into our friend Dick Wolf.
Nice. Great name. Mm-hmm. Can see
All right.
the font.
Oh, yeah. So clearly in my mind's eye.
Yes, yeah. Dick is the creator of the Law & Order franchise. Born in New York City in 1943, Dick started his career as a copywriter at Benton & Bowles Advertising Agency. He is credited for coming up with the wildly successful Crest campaign slogan, "You can't beat Crest for fighting cavities."
Wow.
That's a slogan?
groundbreaking.
That sounds like a sentence. Okay.
That just sounds like
Not
a
your
sentence.
best work, Dick.
Yeah.
Well, it might be because buckle up for this one. Dick is also credited for coming up with the "I'm Cheryl, Fly Me" advertising campaign for National Airlines in 1971. So this is a little throwback to our flight attendant crimes episode. Remember when we talked about the overt sexualization of flight
Yes.
attendants
Yes.
in like the
Oh,
60s
no.
and 70s?
Dick,
Yeah.
you should be a case on SVU.
Yeah. Creepy dick crimes.
This specific ad campaign was a big part of that issue. There is a picture on the drive, which will be on the blog, which is, I labeled it Cheryl. So it's a picture of a woman's face. She's a flight attendant. She says, "I'm Cheryl, fly me."
Ugh.
And
Nope.
then it says, "You think I'm just another pretty face? I'm not. I'm a fresh attitude towards air travel." And then more shit.
It's disgusting. So here is an excerpt from a 2018 Jezebel article. In 1971, National Airlines introduced the new slogan, "Fly Me." The first print advertisement featured a photographic close-up of Cheryl Fioravante, a freckle-faced stewardess with a boyish coiffure, smiling innocently. "Hi, I'm Cheryl. Fly me," the ad read in large black boldface. Subsequent ads invited travelers to, quote-unquote, fly other fresh-faced stewardesses like
How
Joe
about we get
and
some
Laura.
male pilots up in this bitch?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hi,
Or
I'm
male
Todd.
flight
Fly
attendants.
Or it's a plane. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be sexual. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
tell that to Chuck Tingle.
Well, Chuck Tingle is,
Can get
The
it.
exception. That proves the rule.
yeah. This was an honest attempt at selling more flights.
Yeah.
The innuendo-laden campaign cost National a small fortune. They spent over $9 million a year on the ads, but it ended up paying off. The National Organization for Women objected to the ads, calling them sexist, saying that they presented flight attendants as a, quote, flying meat market and invited
yeah.
passengers to make sexual advances. Nevertheless, the Fly Me series raised the carrier's profile and won a handful of advertising awards.
Oh, color me shocked.
Advertising the bodies of women employees was good for business. Though the Fly Me campaign is now displayed on a number of websites, often as a glaring example of outdated sexism, at the time, Fly Me reflected the widespread sexualization of flight attendants, which belied the harsh working conditions that these women negotiated while flying the unfriendly skies.
Yeah, can you imagine just like the number of like gross business
Businessmen.
dudes
And
on
they-
like their third martini up in the sky
Oh.
just grabbing?
Smoking
Grabbing
cigarettes,
ass.
and
Yeah.
then their flight attendant uniforms at the time
Yeah.
could have been hot pants.
Pretty
and, like,
suggestive
busty.
stuff, yeah.
It was
Very intentional.
licensed to grope women on an airplane.
Right.
It was
right.
Hooters in the sky.
Right, with diamonds.
Yes. So that began to change in the mid-1960s when flight attendants mounted an organized push against their employers and ultimately improved their workplaces. So
But
yeah,
obviously it was a slow improvement because this slogan happened in 1971.
Right, took a minute.
and that's our friend Lil Dickie Wolf there. So
Well, hopefully he grew up and learned that that's bad.
I gotta say though, since I started watching SVU from season 1, episode 1, the language that they use, involving sex workers and just women in general, the fact that Olivia gets hit on by like every single male character in every single episode.
There could absolutely be, and it probably exists, some sort of PhD thesis analyzing like social trends around like gender dynamics.
If Scott could write like one of his PhD level pieces on like what, Miley Cyrus, then I'm sure somebody has written
but
this.
it really like, because if you watch episodes like 10 years in, they call out a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And they start to like get shit on
They try to get more woke.
Yeah, it's really
I'm
interesting.
sure. But just remember that the guy, I'm Cheryl Fly Me, also wrote the original. Well, okay, so during his copywriting days, he wrote a number of books, including the nonfiction book called Law and Order, Crime Scenes, which obviously became the basis for the show.
Surprised there could be an entire book just about crime scenes.
Hey, if we can do a whole episode on crimes, anything is possible.
I mean, a lot happens in the colon. The colon is multifaceted.
She's busy.
She's busy. So he wrote a couple of other fiction books in a volume, a thriller volume series, and those were called The Intercept, The Execution, and The Ultimatum. But what I'm trying to say, this was all based on a book that he wrote. You got your female characters. It started as regular Law and Order, but the fact that it even branched out into like a sexual victims franchise in the first place, I guess what I'm trying to say, these early episodes really reminded me of those like erotic True Detective magazines that I bet he maybe grew up with, that just really, it like has this macho male detective and then these like pulpy, like these female victims and like, oh, she's not wearing underwear. She must be a slut, a streetwalker. Like,
Lots of
that
room
kind of
for
stuff.
growth.
A lot of Munch saying the word hooker with like a very specific inflection that everybody can
streetwalker,
picture.
hooker, lady of the night, things like that. Just like,
Could
Lot
you
of
not?
room for growth.
Yeah.
a lot of room for growth. But I just wanted to point out that Dick Wolf was behind that particular marketing campaign that we did discuss in a previous episode, which is really fucking gross. Dick Wolf, do better.
You don't want to come up on 2 episodes of Wine and Crime.
Yeah.
No.
No.
So to end on a happier note, this is the single weirdest fact that I think we could ever possibly imagine about Law and Order. So this is from a Mental Floss article.
Okay.
Call it the dun-dun, the chunk-chunk, or the thunk-thunk. The iconic Law and Order sound was meant to imitate the sound of a jail cell slamming shut, says show producer Mike Post, who's the one who created it. The sound is a synthesized effect that combines about 7 different sounds, including, get ready for this, including the sound of 500 Japanese men stamping their feet on a wooden floor.
What?
For real? Yes. That's real?
Hey, get inspiration right where you live. Good for you, honey.
So the creator of the sound tells, who did he tell? Entertainment Weekly in 1993, quote, "It was a sort of monstrous kabuki event, probably one of those large dance classes that they hold. They did this whole big stamp. Somebody went out and sampled that noise. And then he included it in the dun-dun.
Wow.
Along with other sounds. So it's
Along
literally
with 6
like
other
a
sounds.
melting pot of sounds. That is fascinating.
That
sound is very hard to
is
imitate.
So weird and funny like that.
Yeah, and here's a bonus, literally. Post, who also wrote the show's theme song, gets a separate royalty credit every time the dun-dun sound is used.
Wow.
Nice. Get it, Post.
As well you should, Posty.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
all I have to say about Law & Order SVU.
That was plenty.
I mean, I learned a lot. I'm a little bummed out, but I learned a lot.
500 Japanese men.
Wow.
Dun-dun.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So fucking weird.
I just never thought about what would have been used to make that sound. I always just assumed it was some sort of like augmented guitar riff.
Right.
That'd
I
be a
never
fun
thought
fact
about
for
it.
Bill because he does a lot of
Oh, yeah.
video
Oh,
stuff.
I'm totally going to ask him that when we're done recording this.
Stuff.
And we did used to watch a lot of SVU.
Just
You're
be like,
going to
I'll
ask
give
him
you.
to get 500 men in a room and have them stomp?
You
Like,
should be like,
listen.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
Yeah.
What one of the 7 sound effects synthesized
Dun.
should create.
Dun-dun.
I'm being very generous with all these guesses that I'm allowing you.
Warmer.
What if-
colder.
What if he got it on the first guess?
Honestly,
It's
like
so
part of
fucking
it
random.
wouldn't surprise me if he did.
It's so random.
That is so random.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
there you
I
go.
love-
Are we ready for my case? Are you ready to be really bummed out?
Yes.
Always. I have grown accustomed to this.
Honestly, when you bum me out, it feels a little less like a bummer.
Aw, that's sweet,
Because I'm
almost.
so used
kind
to
of.
it.
Because we're so hardened to you.
I'm just numb. I'm just numb.
I said that's love, and Lucy goes, I'm just numb.
I am
So-
dead inside.
Ships in the night.
I still love you.
All right. Okay. So, case really bad, really awful. Also, preface I read an article that said this particular episode of Law and Order SVU was based on this case.
Okay.
Then, after I wrote my notes, I found that episode and bought it for $2.99. So I
Duh.
will be billing the company for
They're
that.
all on Hulu.
Of course.
Did you know
But yeah,
that?
they are.
I don't
on
have
Hulu.
Hulu. So
Well,
I do.
Well, $2.99. I think we can handle it. I watched
And an invoice.
75% of the episode before we started this episode. And it has like almost nothing to do with the case.
Okay.
Like it's
Great.
very, very loosely based on the case.
okay.
But I did my best.
So are you going to be reading the screenplay of the episode or telling us about the thing that actually happened?
The
Do
thing
the
that
other
actually
part.
happened.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. And then I will tell you like the one dangling piece that
Participle.
that they took and made into the episode.
Okay.
There was a woman involved.
Right. There was a rape. So, in the summer of 1973, 26-year-old Kathleen Hamm was living in an apartment in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan,
Like you do.
like you do. She had recently moved to the city from Berkeley, California, where she had attended college. She was hoping to pursue a career in publishing, which was like still an industry then, and had recently found a job as
Still an industry.
I'm just being mean. And had recently found a job as an editor. So she's like this high flyer, did well in school, getting her career going, mid-20s in New York, crushing it late 8.
Great.
She was feeling optimistic about her new home and her career prospects. That is until the evening of June 26th, when she became the victim of a horrifically violent attack that would upend her life for decades to come.
Okay.
That evening, she went to bed as normal. She lived alone in her apartment, but woke up in the middle of the night and noticed a small light flickering on the fire escape outside her bedroom window.
Ooh, I do not like a small light.
Still groggy from sleep, she then realized that attached to the small light was a hand. Somebody was on her fire escape smoking a cigarette.
Okay. Get out of my house.
My fire escape.
Yeah.
Before she had time to react to this realization, the man on the fire escape had smashed through the window, was inside her bedroom, and was now rushing towards her as she was like in bed.
Oh,
Nope.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Too tired for that.
Yeah.
No.
Just trying to fucking sleep. Why are men? I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kathleen later recalled that, quote, there was a huge struggle and he had a knife, and then he threw a sheet over my head. At first, I was screaming until he finally managed to get the knife to my throat, like over the sheet, but she could tell it was the knife.
Yeah.
And then he raped me. I became prey at that point, and it's a terrifying, terrifying feeling.
Yup. Poor thing.
She screamed loudly enough during the struggle that luckily she was overheard by her neighbor who called 911. Police actually arrived on the scene quickly enough that Kathleen's attacker was actually still in her apartment when the police got to the building.
Wow.
So everything happened really fast, and everybody kind of acted well.
The way they're supposed to for once. Yeah.
Like the neighbor, like I don't blame the neighbor for not going inside.
Right.
They like heard the
my God,
screaming,
no.
called 911. Police got there really fast.
Mm-hmm.
The two officers who answered the call, Rosie Snipes and Abe, I think it's Mingola. It might be Minjola. I don't know. Abe.
Honest Abe.
Split up when they got to the building. So Mingola went up the fire escape and Snipes entered through the building's front door. So they wanted to like be at both.
Yeah. Corner someone, hopefully.
When Mingola reached Kathleen's window, he was able to see Kathleen and her attacker still in the bedroom. So he literally saw, the officer saw this attack still in progress.
Good God.
Upon seeing the officer, the attacker fled out of the apartment door, so fled out of the front door. He rushed past Snipes, who immediately began pursuing him, soon joined by Mingola, but the attacker is like a bigger dude. I'm assuming taller than Rosie Snipes, the officer. So he was running faster.
Yeah.
The two officers chased the man down several streets until they were able to overtake him and apprehend him.
Get him.
They literally caught him.
Wow.
Great.
And they saw the attack happen.
This is how police work is supposed to happen.
Right? Both officers
So
were
far, anyway.
sure that this would be an open and shut case, right?
Right.
Like,
Because
I mean,
it
you
was
don't
like
get
in progress.
like how often does that even happen? That you have
Yeah.
two officers witness a rape in progress
The
and
cops you
then catch the
called
attacker.
Are your witnesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it doesn't get much clearer than that. Mingola had witnessed the man with his own eyes in Kathleen's bedroom, and they had pursued him straight from the crime scene. There was no possibility that this was a case of mistaken identity.
Okay.
Rosie Snipes later said of the arrest, quote, I felt great, because we were so sure we knew we had him.
Right.
Mingola added, quote, it was like a Christmas present. But things would not be so simple because fucking patriarchy.
Oh, here we go.
And although Kathleen had a positive experience with the cops who responded that night, she would end up having a radically different experience when she arrived at the hospital to seek treatment after her attack.
Great.
Even though the emergency room at the hospital she went to was not crowded at the time, because it was like the middle of the night, she was essentially ignored by staff for over an hour. When the doctors finally did see her, they showed her no sympathy for her situation.
Because they knew she was raped?
Well, we will get to it. Also, I should say Kathleen is white and her attacker is black. She explained in a later interview that, quote, depending on your personality, people really react in different ways to crisis or like to trauma.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people who becomes very controlled, and I wasn't crying. And because of the way I was acting, the doctors didn't believe me that I was raped.
Oh my God.
Ugh, I hate this so much.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I had marks on my neck and marks on my face, and I heard them say, oh, she's too calm. She wasn't raped.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Can you imagine hearing that at the hospital after your rape?
Yeah. Trying to get treatment. Oh,
We don't talk about it enough, but like law enforcement needs to do better and be better trained for handling these cases. But, like, so do medical professionals.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
I think it's come a long way, obviously, since then, since 1973. But, like, there's still a really long way to go.
Especially for women of color.
Well, she's white, but yes.
Yeah, but
in life, yes.
In life, yeah.
Yeah, and trans folks, all kinds of folks, yes. So at this point in time, there was no set protocol for examining rape victims for evidence, which now there are. It's like, okay, this is how you process like a rape kit for like an examination, which is still very traumatic for victims.
Yes.
But there are procedures that people are trained in, and like, this is the first step, this is the second step, this is how you preserve the evidence, whatever. Kathleen remembers the doctors proclaiming that they couldn't find semen, therefore she couldn't have been raped.
Again, not how that works.
No.
Not how it works. Her attacker could have been wearing a condom, could have not ejaculated. Also, like, the doctors probably didn't know this, but like, the attack was caught like mid-attack, so like, he probably didn't ejaculate.
Yeah. But there were witnesses.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Kathleen's horrible hospital experience would be a harbinger of things to come.
Great. I love a harbinger.
Lucy is holding up a Believe Women sticker.
It's holographic, too.
It's cool. In 1974, the case against Clarence Williams, the man who had been arrested for her rape, went to trial. Kathleen agreed to appear in court to testify against him, which is a very difficult decision to begin with, and then even harder after you've been treated so poorly.
Yeah.
Like, by the system.
Yep.
Although the arresting officers could positively identify Williams as Kathleen's attacker, there were a couple things preventing a conviction from being a slam dunk, especially given the high bar of evidence for rape trials at the time. So at the time, like, I think just the victim's testimony and like eyewitness account like weren't enough. Even like, the witness had to like identify the attacker's face, and there had to be another account, and there had to be like some physical evidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bunch of bullshit then.
Yeah.
So just had to be a bunch of bullshit.
Bunch of bullshit. For one, Kathleen herself had never gotten a good look at her attacker's face because her bedroom had been dark, and he had almost immediately covered her head with a sheet.
Sure.
And she was like groggy and like coming to.
Right.
And although some physical evidence had been found on Kathleen's underwear, this was before the days of DNA testing. And
so
evidence
wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, so evidence could only indicate at the time the assailant's blood type. No other physical evidence, such as fingerprints, had been found at the scene. But instead of relying on these legitimate uncertainties to build a case, the defense mounted a prolonged attack on Kathleen.
You don't say.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's so bad, you guys. It's so bad. She later recounted that, quote, "The first question is your name and address. The second question is," this is on the stand, "were you a virgin?"
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, my God.
She's 26. Not that it matters, but
That's
like
worse than what were you wearing?
Right.
Yeah. And then it went on from that. I was brutalized on that stand.
Yeah. Oh, poor Kathleen.
Kathleen was forced to endure almost 2 full days on the witness stand responding to this line of blame the victim questioning.
My God.
The defense lawyer went so far as to argue that Kathleen was a sex worker and that Williams had been her pimp. Not that, I mean, that's not true at all, but like, even if that had been true,
You can still
assault.
rape someone who is a sex worker.
yeah.
You can rape your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also repeatedly asked her why she didn't run from Williams, implying that she had stayed in her bedroom.
She called the cops.
He had a knife.
Implying that because she had stayed in her bedroom, she must have, quote, wanted it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
She
that's
wanted a
so-
stranger to climb in and break through her window in the middle of the night.
Cool. Here's some more ASMR.
Yeah, man, it's just pouring more wine. Yeah.
That is some people's kink, but if it's not 1,000% consensual,
Yeah, you can
it's not a
consent
thing.
No.
to a role play.
Yeah.
That's not what this is.
No. At one point, the lawyer demanded to know why she hadn't simply left the room, asking her if both her legs had been broken.
Oh.
When Kathleen tried to respond by explaining that Williams had been restraining her and holding a knife to her throat, the lawyer cut her off by demanding nothing but a yes or no answer to whether her legs had been broken.
Ew.
And also, I would like to blame the fucking
that
judge.
guy.
The judge
Oh,
should
yeah,
have been
for
like,
allowing
you're
that.
out of here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Not okay.
Was this a juried trial?
Yes, but it was an all-male jury.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Such a thing should not exist.
Right? There's
All
more.
male anything should not
Should be
exist.
illegal.
There's more. Everybody take a big gulp because there's
I'm
more.
good. Let's do this. I might commit a murder. Murder.
He followed this up, the legs thing, followed this up with a, quote, demonstration in which he held up a needle, like a sewing needle, and a thread, and repeatedly stated, you can't thread a moving needle.
What the
Referring to
like
penetration?
penis and vagina?
Yeah, like if she had fought more and moved more, penetration.
This is so goddamn disgusting.
This is sick. I mean, it's sick.
Mm-hmm. Meaning that the
My
only
God.
reason... And the only reason Kathleen had been raped was because she had chosen not to run away. And I just
Oh my
it's
God.
so egregious. And I know that this used to happen. And I know that versions
Oh, it still
of this
happens.
still
Yes,
happens.
it still happens.
But
Yeah.
I don't think it could. I don't know.
It
maybe-
could. Trust me, it could.
Yeah.
Anytime you think it couldn't.
I think
You
shit
just
like
read
this,
about this.
shit like this still does happen, but it maybe isn't as apparent, on the surface,
It's more insidious now.
ballsy.
Yeah.
That you can't thread a moving needle.
Ugh.
It's sexual
I mean,
assault, dude.
that's the same logic as who is it? The fucking some legislator who was like, well, women have a defense mechanism
Oh, yeah.
to shut off
they
becoming
just shut it
pregnant
down. They can't
in
get
an
pregnant
assault.
if it's a rape.
It's that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's that shit.
Yeah. So, following the 8-day trial, the jury deliberated for 2 days but was unable to agree on a verdict.
Oh, wow. What a tough case. This is why men shouldn't be trusted with anything.
anything.
Ever.
Kathleen recalled of her response upon learning that the trial had resulted in a hung jury that, quote, I was...
How?
Yeah, what? I don't even... Yeah. It doesn't get much more slam dunk than this.
No.
Yeah. Caught in the act.
By two police officers.
Uh-huh. Quote, I was shattered. I lost all my self-confidence. You become very depressed. You feel nothing is worth it. I mean, I just kind of looked at life and said, it's really overrated.
Oh, my heart.
I got goosebumps. That's so sad.
No one should have to go through that
I know.
thought process
No.
when you're already recovering from so much trauma.
Mm-hmm. Not long after the trial, Clarence Williams was arrested again. This time for a rape that he had committed while on bail awaiting trial for Kathleen's rape.
Isn't it funny how if they had just convicted the rapist, that they
He wouldn't have raped
wouldn't
more?
have been able to rape
Weird.
somebody else?
Weird. Weird.
I know.
Weird.
Stay with me here.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
There's more.
Oh, good.
Upon his arrest for this second rape, he confessed to both rapes.
Okay. Yep. Great.
But it's already been a hung jury for Kathleen's case.
So he can't be convicted or tried again for that rape.
I don't know.
Well, a hung
No,
jury
he could-
automatically
Oh, yeah, it's not
means
the
a new
same.
trial.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. So
It's just if you're convicted.
Got it.
So he was-
It's not a double jeopardy situation.
he was caught and arrested for this second rape. He was literally out on bail, awaiting trial for Kathleen's rape when he committed the second rape.
Sure.
The second case was overturned on a technicality, and it was decided that both this second case and Kathleen's case would be retried.
Okay.
Kathleen, however, could not face the prospect of going through what she had been forced to endure at her
Well,
first trial again.
Can you blame her?
No,
Poor
could
thing.
Easily decide that it would not be worth it.
Yeah.
I would not be able to sit on a stand and be questioned like that for 2 days, and I haven't been a victim like this.
Yeah.
So she made the decision to leave New York and move back to California. She had like a stronger network of people there. She was hoping to make a fresh start and put the entire nightmare behind her, and hoping that there would be enough evidence against Clarence Williams in the second case to put him behind bars without her testimony.
Right.
But this would not be the case because Williams fled while out on bail the second time and
Who knew?
disappeared.
My God.
The fact that they let him out on bail
Yeah.
a second time when he committed this rape
And
while
then
he was out on
confess
bail
to
the
a
first
second
time.
one. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. And confessed to both, and they still let him out on bail.
that's a lot.
I hate everything about this.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people were complicit in all of these decisions?
Oh.
Dozens.
Yeah. An entire system.
Plus the law.
An entire system is complicit.
A lot of judges, a lot of jury members, defense attorneys. You got to defend your client, but I cannot. That is different than what that first guy did.
Yeah.
So Kathleen went to law school in California. She was trying to move on with her life. She was able to find career success, but she kind of forever found that dating, marriage, or like any semblance of a social life was just
Hard pass.
impossible for her after what she'd been through. So
Can't blame her for that.
No.
and she was still just like on edge all the time because she knew her attacker was out there somewhere and had just disappeared.
Uh-huh.
And not saying that any victim of sexual assault has ever deserved, but like
No.
she was sleeping in her home in her
Right.
bed.
Like, what can she do differently?
What could she possibly do differently to
Right. It's
change-
not victim blaming. It's like, what kind of prevention could she possibly
how can
have
you
practiced?
trauma?
It's
Right.
how can you even feel safe in your own home?
Right.
She couldn't. So my next line, she never recovered her ability to sleep, quote unquote, normally. She would either go to bed with a butcher knife close at hand or sleep as close as possible to the front door so that she could flee if necessary.
Oh, the poor thing. Oh, my God.
And if you can't sleep,
You're done.
your mental
life's
health
over.
is just
Yeah.
going to suffer so much more.
Yeah.
Every physical health, your career, your relationships, everything.
So in Kathleen's own words, quote, "My life stopped at 26 years old."
Oh, God.
She directly attributed the fact that she had never married to her rape, stating that, quote, "I just didn't want to be kissed. I didn't like to be touched by strangers."
Cannot blame her for that.
The lasting trauma of her attack affected her professional life as well, so she had to give up trial litigation. She'd gone to law school and was like really good at it, but she couldn't go into this whole field of the law because she had developed an intense phobia of entering courtrooms after the like added trauma that she had gone through on the witness stand.
Yeah.
Probably also the fact that, it would be just a landmines everywhere in terms of like sexual assault, being
Depending on what kind of
exposed.
cases you work on, I don't know.
I don't think like trademark lawyers have to deal with that a lot, but like
Right.
just being in the legal system,
Right.
to have sensitivities and triggers on such a pretty general scale, it's like
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And like people make fun of trigger warnings, which they fucking shouldn't. But like these kinds of like physical and psychological reactions to trauma are really real.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like
yeah.
should be respected. It's not people being overly sensitive. It's like, you don't know what
You
this
just
person
can't
has
make
been
jokes
through.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then in 2005, 32 years after her attack,
My God.
Kathleen received a phone call from a woman named Nancy Fisher, who had been her neighbor back in New York, and they occasionally kept in touch over the years. Nancy had recently received a phone call from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They were looking for Kathleen Hamm, but they
He's
were having...
out, isn't he?
Well, he was
Motherfucker.
never in.
Oh, that's right.
They were having trouble finding Kathleen, so they were reaching out to old neighbors to see if anybody was still in touch and knew where to find her. So Nancy passed along Kathleen's contact info, but asked to be allowed to call her and be the person that broke the news to Kathleen.
Right.
That Clarence Williams, 32 years later, had finally been tracked down and apprehended. He'd been living in Atlanta as Fletcher Worrell,
Oh, no.
which actually was his real name. And it
What?
turns out that Clarence Williams was an alias.
He went through the whole fucking justice system that first time under a fucking fake name. They didn't fucking figure it out.
Wow.
the 70s.
I guess.
I don't
but
care.
Still,
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
not
Well,
enough
there
of
are
an
a
excuse.
whole lot of failures here.
So many.
So he's down in Atlanta. He's been living under his real name. That's how
Yeah.
he disappeared, was just living under his own name for 32 years.
Ugh.
He tried to buy a gun, and the resulting background check revealed that he had a decades-old warrant under his actual name.
Mm-hmm.
So for some other fucking crime, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were able to link the two identities together, I'm assuming through DNA.
Oh, you mean background checks are actually super beneficial when someone's trying to buy a fucking gun?
Yeah,
Who
they're actually
knew?
pretty great. Even, yeah. So anyway, the district attorney called Kathleen to see if she would testify if they retried Worrell for rape, and bravely she agreed.
Oh my God.
But remember, her rape was 32 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to advancements in DNA testing, there was now definitive physical evidence in the case, and Kathleen's underwear that she had been wearing the night of the rape were re-examined, and they were found to have DNA that exactly matched to Fletcher Worrell
Okay.
/
Well,
Clarence
that's
Williams.
good.
Yeah. The DNA evidence against Worrell did not stop with Kathleen's case.
Oh, geez.
According to New York Assistant District Attorney Martha Bashford, quote, when they got the DNA profile that they were still able to pull from the pants after all those years, they entered into the National Databank. And the ripples kept spreading.
Oh, no.
It then matched.
I knew there were more people.
Yeah.
You usually don't just
Well, right.
randomly rape one person one time.
Yeah.
Or two people.
Yeah.
2. Well, you're out on bail for the first one.
Just a couple.
Uh-huh.
Just get
It
it out of
matched-
your system, you know?
Mhm. Just
It-
for funsies.
It right away matched 2 cases in New Jersey. So 2 rapes from 1993. So decades, 20 years after his first, well, what we know was his first attack.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, incidents very similar to what happened to Ms. Hamm. Overall, DNA evidence linked Worrell to 23 rapes
Oh, my
Oh,
God. I knew it was going to be a
Jesus.
lot, but I, wasn't prepared for that number.
in Maryland and New Jersey, and obviously New York, over a span of 30 years. And he had been referred to in Maryland as the Silver Springs rapist.
Oh, my God. He had a
He had a
quippy
newspaper
name.
name.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And that Silver Springs rapist never would have happened had they done their goddamn jobs.
Had they
with
put him
Kathleen.
away.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, that poor woman.
In the lead up to the trial, Kathleen made the decision to not only testify against Worrell, but to go public with her name, stating, quote, after 32 years, I had to say I have nothing to be ashamed of. If I were burglarized, you would use my name. Why the stigma?
Right. Right. Oh, poor thing.
Thankfully, enough had changed in 32 years that Kathleen was not forced to endure any attacks on her character during the second trial. And unlike the first trial when she had faced a judge and jury of entirely men, this trial had a female judge and 7 women on the jury.
Yes. What year was it?
This was 32 years after 1973. So you do the math.
A year. It was a year.
Yeah,
05.
05. Yeah.
Oh my God. Did you hear me just do math in my head?
Yeah, that was pretty
It
impressive.
was gorgeous. Stunning.
So this time, it took the jury only 2 hours to find Fletcher Worrell guilty of first-degree rape and of robbery for $4 that he had stolen from Kathleen while in her apartment that night. I think they just were like, tack on more charges.
Tack
Tack it on.
Tack it on. Fuck
That's
By
it.
all
B&E.
means.
Yeah. Hamm stated, quote, "It ended up being a very positive experience for me. I think the minute when I blurted out, 'You can use my name. I have nothing to be ashamed of,' my whole life changed. When I said that, I got my voice back. I feel
Yeah.
like I actually have something to say."
Oh, Kathleen.
Taking that power back.
In response to Kathleen's story of waiting 32 years to see justice, Manhattan District Attorney Robert Morgenthau began lobbying to eliminate New York's 5-year statute of limitations on first-degree rape.
Yes.
Correct. That is a stupid rule.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking
5
stupid
years
rule.
is nothing.
nothing.
It's nothing.
Especially with
So
advancements
50 years
in
would
DNA.
be nothing.
There shouldn't be one.
No.
It's a heinous crime. It's as bad as murder. It's a heinous fucking crime.
Yes.
Yep.
As Assistant DA Martha Bashford explained, quote, "The only reason we were able to get justice for Ms. Hamm was because her case had been indicted when it happened. Otherwise, even with the DNA, we couldn't have touched it, and
Oh
he
my
would have just
God.
been free."
Jesus
Hold on.
Christ.
The only reason we were able, because her case had
Because
been
they
indicted.
had that first trial,
Yeah.
they were able to bypass that statute of limitations and retry it once they had the DNA.
Was it because it ended up being a hung jury or because there was no conviction?
I think it was just because the process of trying him had started within the first 5 years after the attack.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So they were able to bypass the statute of limitations. But
Gotcha.
if they hadn't had that first trial and they just like caught this guy who had raped 23 women and they knew
Right.
it was him with this DNA and all those cases were more than 5 years old, he would have just been free.
Oh,
would've been
my
nothing they
God,
could do
that's
about
so
it.
fucking
That's
gross.
Really bonkers.
Yeah. The
Ugh.
National Organization for Women, who I used to intern for in New York.
Ooh, they've been mentioned twice in this ep.
I know.
Big
That's
app for now.
Big F for
app.
now, NYC. Back to Morgenthau in this crusade of like getting rid of the statute of limitations, and they were able to succeed in persuading New York legislature to pass a law stating that first-degree rape, like murder, would have no statute of limitations.
Yeah,
Yes,
because it fucking
preach.
shouldn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
preach.
An episode of SVU titled Limitations was supposedly loosely
Was
inspired.
1,000% frame for frame, shot for shot remake of this case.
Supposedly inspired by Kathleen's story and the resulting legal changes, and it aired in the year 2000. I've watched the episode. It deals with a rapist with multiple victims and the 5-year statute of limitations.
It
So,
is this case.
There's
Olivia
nothing
plays
else related to
Olivia
this
plays
case.
Snipes, and
Wesley
Cute Butt
Snipes
plays Abe.
They don't even catch anybody in the act. There's no first trial.
Is there a small light?
Well,
No. The MO is different.
we maybe missed a couple details, but you know what? It happens. TV's hard.
It was only
TV's
three.
hard. Maybe they
There's
didn't have
only
the
three
budget.
cases in the show.
People are busy. It's a lot.
People
Yeah.
are busy.
I don't know. I just think we're being too judgmental.
Anyway, I think that Kathleen's case should actually inspire an actual episode
Yeah.
that actually deals with her case and the first
Yeah.
trial.
Kathleen's case is real intense.
You could
Yeah.
do costumes from the 70s.
Oh,
Everybody likes that.
a little throwback app.
yeah.
Anyway, Kathleen is a fucking badass, and sadly, she passed away in January of this year, January 2021, at the age of 73, but she got her voice back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she died with her voice.
Yeah.
Good for her.
So that is my case.
Wow.
Cheers to Kathleen. Jesus Christ.
Kathleen, baby.
That is
Fuck that needle thread lawyer right to hell.
seriously.
Fuck that defense attorney. I need to find out who he was. He's probably dead, but I fucking hope he's dead.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
And that jury.
Just, yeah. Go fuck
Fuck
yourself.
them all. The
Like,
judge that allowed it.
Yeah.
The people who
many
let
of
him
them?
out on bail.
How many of them have daughters?
Oh.
Like, I kind of hate it when people say that. It's like, well, they're
Yeah.
humans. Doesn't have to be a girl or
Doesn't
your
have to
daughter.
have some
but,
relation to you to have value and worth.
Mhm.
but given how horrendous this all played out anyway, my mind is going to the wives and children of those fucking men on that
know.
jury.
They should be fucking ashamed of themselves, and I hope they are.
Absolutely, they should be ashamed of themselves. I hope they all have itches they cannot scratch for eternity.
Ooh, that's mean.
Yeah, I know. I'm cutthroat.
Yeah.
I'm a cutthroat bitch.
Yeah.
I'm good at cursing children. You're
I'm a
good at
cutthroat
cursing men.
Grown men.
Male jurors.
Male rural jurors.
Rural male jurors.
Disappointments. Are we ready for my case?
I don't know. Rolling.
So this case is bizarre and it made national headlines and is now my new irrational fear. I feel like I get one every episode we do.
I feel like I'm usually the one to give you a new irrational fear.
Yeah, I gave it to myself this time. So
Great.
please and thank you.
I feel absolved.
You are, for now.
For now.
The perp in this case was never named in the press and maintained his anonymity. And I'm not going to use fake names or anything because I found that the articles were super easy to follow even without names. So it's just not necessary. I also, trigger warning, there is discussion of child sexual abuse in this case. It's an SVU episode. You kind of know what you're getting, but I just wanted to make that
it's
clear.
also a wine and crime episode.
Correct. So the story begins with a totally normal dude. It's early 2000s.
I'm already suspicious. Did you see my eyes narrow?
Yeah, it's like,
A totally normal dude.
I mean, be suspicious. Spoiler alert, be suspicious.
B.E. suspicious.
Be suspicious. Be suspicious. So this dude's 40 years old. He's married. He has a stepchild. This is his second marriage. He did not have children with his first wife. He doesn't, as far as I know, have any children of his own. He married a woman who already had a kid. He's a school teacher. He's an unassuming, innocuous dude. They always are. Before getting his master's in education and becoming a teacher in 1998, he had also worked as a corrections officer and was clearly familiar with the law. He and his wife had been married for several years. He had no criminal record, and other than a pretty normal penchant for pornography, which like is subjective anyway, since teenage boyhood, which like that could be any amount of porn, honestly. Any amount of porn is like normal for a teenage boy. He's
able to hold down his jobs.
Right.
And enjoys porn.
Yeah.
As long as it's regular of age consenting
Yes,
porn.
he raised no red flags and did not show sexual behavior that would be considered deviant, which I'm putting in quotes because that's obviously subjective.
Let's say criminal.
Right. This is what was like in the articles.
Right.
Any sex acts between consenting parties of consenting age, fine by me. Who am I to say what's normal? I'm just painting a picture here. Please don't email me.
Yeah.
Okay? I've had a lot of Olivia Benson wine. I can't. So something started to shift in him and like his sexual appetite seemed to sort of suddenly change.
Did he have a brain
At
trauma?
40?
Well, he's 40, so he's chalking it up to midlife hormones. He adjusts his porn search settings.
I think it sounds like brain trauma.
Well, we'll get to it.
Okay.
To some more spicy stuff and goes about his life. But this is not satisfying his sexual urges, and they rapidly became more and more alarming. For the first time in his life, he searched child sexual abuse materials online.
Ooh.
Knowing this was completely wrong and illegal, former corrections officer, he built a secret library of these materials and kept these feelings secret from his wife. Alarming himself and hoping a taboo sexual release would get rid of the pedophilic urges, he also solicited sex work at massage parlors. This was also not enough, and unfortunately, he made sexual advances on his stepdaughter, who was around 10 or 11 years old at the time. It is unclear how far this went, but at a minimum, sexual molestation did occur. So there was touching.
You might not know the answer to this, but
I probably don't. Let's hear
the
it.
age of the daughter relevant to his particular searches?
He'd been searching for like child sexual abuse materials.
Right. I just meant like
and
the
she's
age.
like 10 years old. I don't know.
Like maybe
but
he never acted on it to her before because she was younger than his window. You know what I mean?
I don't know what his window was.
Right.
I have no clue, but she is a child.
Oh,
that's all I know.
Of course. I'm just wondering.
I don't know if there was synchronicity or whatever.
Right.
With the searches.
This is
after
I'm still on brain trauma.
Listen,
camp.
just let it unfold. Can't a bitch paint a picture? Jesus
I
Christ.
like to be suspicious.
We like to guess.
Be suspicious.
You like to just give it all away. Great. I love it.
We don't know. We're guessing.
No.
Painted a good picture.
I'm an audience. I don't know how it ends.
After several weeks of abuse, the child told her mother what was going on, and she, the mother, confronted her husband. He was evicted from their home, and she went to the police. Good for her.
Good.
And an investigation uncovered his secret library of CSAM, and he was quickly arrested.
Good. She didn't try to like Duggar
No.
it.
No. It was like, bye-bye.
Dug herself a hole.
Duggar it deeper. At trial, he was ordered to participate in a sexual disorder recovery program and was prescribed medroprogesterone, which is a medication that is commonly prescribed to folks with irregular menstruation, but can also
Medroxyprogesterone.
but can also be prescribed to patients with sexual disorders because it lowers testosterone levels, thus lowering sexual drive, without the side effects that other testosterone restricting drugs can have, such as increased quote unquote feminization, so like swelling and sensitivity of breast tissue, etc.
Right.
I've had that before. The medication.
Great.
Because my period wasn't regular, not
Yeah.
because I was an offender.
I mean, it's typically not prescribed to binary women who are sex offenders.
Mm-hmm.
This medication is also pretty commonly described to binary men in nursing homes with dementia, because an unfortunate side effect of like dementia is that there's an abundance of sexual urges, even if the elderly individual doesn't have the capacity to fulfill those sexual urges, they still have the feelings, and they can be inappropriately taken out on staff, residents, and even family because
they don't understand
know.
the context they're in.
Yeah.
So even people that like were not offenders beforehand
The
and would
boundaries
never
are
do that
gone.
normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of like putting all these old people in jail, they're like, okay, we're just going to like suppress the sex drive.
Well, it's
Right.
not their fault.
Right. It's your chemistry is changing.
I had
This
a
is
friend
just
who
another
will-
reason not to get old.
I had a friend who will remain unnamed, but this person was living with a grandparent who had dementia, and they had more than one encounter.
It's
And
a
it
lot.
was- Well,
It's
it's
really tough.
traumatic from a
Yeah.
person that you love. It's like
God bless
grandpa.
our elder care workers. And if you're an unpaid elder care worker, God bless you too. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Aging is not cute.
No, it's not cute.
So the medication and 12-step program were not enough to stop his urges, and he was kicked out of the program for making sexual advancements on members of the staff at the facility, as well as the other clients in his program.
So he
Jesus
just
like
really
Blatantly
cannot. It's
can't control
escalating
it. Yep.
out of control.
Out of control. And failure to complete the program meant that he had to go to prison. This was the stipulation of his sentencing as a first-time offender. It was like, you do this or you go to prison. So the next step was for him to once again go before the judge and find out how long he would be in prison. But
Making a sexual advance upon the judge.
yes, probably. I mean, I think it was a male judge, so it's
Can we
like,
work something out?
yeah, he's still, we're operating on the binary, and he is clearly attracted to
Women.
binary females.
Yeah.
But the night before sentencing, he burped.
He's also so
He burped pot stickers
oversexed
from
that maybe
earlier
at this point it wouldn't really matter.
I don't know. I mean, he's out of control.
He's out of control.
Bottom line is
Synapses are
nothing's making
misfiring.
sense. He has
Just
no boundaries.
Yes, sexual sex.
Sex apses.
Yes.
So the night before his sentencing hearing, he suffered from a severe headache and noticed that his balance was off. This could have been a stress-induced migraine. Dude is about to go to prison, like whatever, but the pain was bad enough that he decided to go to the emergency room. While he was being seen by doctors, he opened up to them about the escalation of his deviant thoughts, that he was also experiencing suicidal ideation and fantasies of raping his female landlord.
Ooh.
Medical staff noted that while treating him, he just urinated all over himself without like any shame or reaction. It just sort of like happened.
Oh
and
my
he just
God.
like kept kind of going about his day. And in there, I can't read because I have had 2.5 glasses of wine. He also unabashedly tried to solicit sex from the female staff in the emergency room. I can only imagine how that went for him. Like, I've seen it all. Quit barking up this fucking tree.
I'm sure that wasn't even the first time that day.
No.
Well,
no.
by a dude covered in his own urine.
Seriously, that, it's not funny, obviously, but that reminds me of back when I worked in the restaurant industry. I was walking to my car after a closing shift at a bar that I fucking hated working for. And they made us wear these like really explicit, quote unquote, uniforms. But anyway, I'm walking to my car. I've got like $400 in cash shoved in my boot because that's just what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost to my car when like out of nowhere, this dude just starts running at me.
Running at you?
Oh, yeah. I knew what was happening, but I like had my hand on the handle of my car. So I just got in my car, locked the door. And then as I was driving away, I was so fucking irritated and my adrenaline was running out of control. As I was like peeling out with my window down, I just went, "You're not even the most annoying person I've dealt with today." And just drove away. And it's like, I was moments from assault and robbery. And I just was too irritated to like even process what was going on. I was so fucking annoyed that I had to like jog the last foot to my car after that fucking 12-hour shift.
Your sass always surfaces to the
does.
top,
It
no
pops
matter
in
what.
In an emergency, it just pops in. The sass. You're not even the most annoying person I've dealt with today.
You scream
Peels
out your
in
open window as you peel
my
out.
Buick, my 95 Buick Regal Custom that I had recently spray painted with gold glitter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
I am
God.
not your target, sir. I
didn't know that story. That's amazing.
I feel for these nurses.
She has so many stories. I've never heard that story either. What is your life?
Listen, work in bars and restaurants for like a solid 15 years and shit's gonna go down. You know, you're there now.
You're
you
also
own
a
one.
magnet for
The weirdos
weird
love
shit.
me. It's
Yeah.
a pheromone.
it is.
I'm proud of it. I'm not gonna change. So anyway,
It's an odor for sure.
it's an odor. So he also developed like an odd twitch like in his face while he was in emergency care. He developed a noticeable limp, and his ability to write seemed to disappear over the course of the evening.
The fuck?
All right.
Shit's going down.
They're suspecting that a neurological emergency is happening here.
Yeah.
So doctors went over his medical history with a fine-tooth comb, and other than like a likely concussion where he was knocked unconscious for a couple minutes during like a sports ball like a decade prior, his medical history was completely clear. Nothing on it.
Bizarre.
So bizarre. So to be sure nothing is going on or to identify what is going on, the medical team ordered an MRI, a brain MRI.
A stand-up MRI.
Not a stand-up because he could not stand MRI.
Sounds
A stand-up
really
comedic
boring.
MRI.
Zach was like, these things are taking off. How are there this many stand-up clubs?
Their flyers suck.
Comedy sports has really gone downhill.
Cover is outrageous.
So this guy's scans would reveal an egg-sized tumor located in the frontal cortex of his brain.
Ooh.
And as we know from Lucy Seggs in previous episodes, the frontal cortex is responsible for our inhibitions and decision-making and largely responsible for our boundaries of morality and behavior.
Yep.
So
There we go.
doctors were able to remove the tumor, which was cancerous, and his behavior improved immediately. Within hours of waking from surgery, he was able to write. He could get up and walk without his limp within about a day. He had fully regained bladder control almost immediately. And most importantly, he didn't feel any of the previous sexual urges.
That is crazy. It
Wow.
just makes you realize that, like, and this
My
is
new
hard-
fear? I'm
that
going to get a brain tumor and turn into a sexual
Predator?
predator? Like
I mean,
overnight?
it's possible.
It is.
It's clearly possible.
It's literally possible.
I know, but it just makes you think that, like, we don't have free will. Like, we
No,
are seriously
no. We're just
a
machines.
bundle. Yeah, we are just a
We're
bundle of
flesh
atoms.
machines.
Yeah,
It's your synapses.
Yep.
All you
Yeah.
do, all of your decisions are
Everything.
based on
It's
previous
chemicals.
experiences.
It's
That's
chemicals
it.
and previous experiences. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
it's just previous experiences that like trained chemicals like where to go and
Yeah.
how to fire.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
and then when a
crazy.
wrench gets thrown in that machine,
Yeah.
you're fucking molesting kids.
Like
Jesus Christ. my fears.
every couple of years, I will go back and re-listen to the episode of This American Life, which I'm overdue for, about the guy who had Huntington's disease
Yes.
and ended up, I think he killed his father.
Oh, it's so
but in like the
tragic.
most ridiculous overkill. Like
Yeah.
it was all a result of a brain disease, but he
Yes.
like removed the fingers,
Mhm.
dismembered the body.
And
his
again,
dad.
that does not mean that anyone with
Lucy
Huntington's
with
is
this
going to do
egg
that.
tumor in her frontal
Oh.
cortex.
Of course,
We'd be
obviously
dead.
not.
Monster.
We'd
A
be
brain
dead.
tumor or brain trauma does not mean you're going to be a violent person.
No,
Of
but
course not.
this,
It doesn't.
I was
this
making a joke.
and the Huntington's example and my inevitable brain tumor, which
Right.
will
That will
result
kill
in
me and
extreme
Kenyon.
violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be dead.
It's just, it blows the mind.
It's
so to
really,
speak.
and then it's like, how do you get into like the consequences? How do you get
Well-
into like his feelings of guilt?
We'll
and
get to
His
it, kind of.
stepdaughters.
yeah,
assault.
because
Yeah.
she's still an assault that she experienced.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. So he returned to the 12-step program because after like medical intervention and recovery from the tumor, the courts allowed him another chance to complete the program because now it's like, okay, these are extenuating circumstances,
Right.
fucking obviously.
Yeah.
So he successfully finished the program. He seemed to be rehabilitated. He even reconnected with his wife. I don't know if they moved back in together, but like
He seemed to
He
be rehabilitated.
began the long and certainly horrifying process of healing and reconciliation with his stepdaughter. But within a year of surgery, his headaches returned
no.
and he had begun searching for CSAM again. But this time, he didn't wait to go to the doctor and explain that his symptoms were returning. So like he got these urges, he like did a couple of online searches and was like, "Oh, wait.
It's
He
back.
knew.
It's back. I have to
Oh.
go to the doctor." Goes to do another scan. Sure enough, the cancer is returning in the same spot where it had been removed. So he had another surgery and his urges disappeared again.
But
so like
still,
at
how
least
do
this
you-
time it was like, I know the warning signs, but it's like, how do we go in every 6 months then? Because you're already starting to search for
Yeah.
child sexual
is a
abuse
crime.
material, which is a
And-
fucking crime and
hurting
horrifying.
people.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. That is not a victimless crime.
Right.
You are perpetuating an industry
Right. Right.
that creates a market for that.
Right,
And if
right.
if you now know,
right.
like if you without the tumor are aware,
right.
then you have to be proactive. Like if this, God forbid,
Yeah.
if this happened to me, I would be in every fucking day.
Right.
Being like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll go bankrupt. Another scan. Like, I
Right.
can't. I'm too scared.
Well,
Yeah.
like you say a lot, your sickness is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. And
You
now
have
he
to
knows that
keep
there
tabs.
are severe consequences
Right.
to this illness that he suffers from.
It's destroyed his marriage, his relationship with a underage stepdaughter. Like,
His career. What about his career? Wasn't
Oh, he was a teacher. No mas.
oh no,
Yeah.
no mas.
Big hard no.
Yeah. We're
I just-
assuming.
No, he was fired.
Okay.
I mean, he was arrested, tried, and convicted of child
Right, right,
molestation.
okay.
He can never work with children again.
Yeah.
Like regardless,
Of
he is a
the
registered
reason.
sex offender.
Right.
It doesn't matter about the tumor because like that's the thing. You have to mitigate risk. The tumor
Right.
can come back. Clearly, it did. You
Well-
cannot work with children.
It's like a lot of offenders who, probably would have been fine, but circumstances aligned in such a way in like their development that, kind of
We'll
made
get to
them
it. Yeah.
the way they are. Like it's kind of similar. It's just this is so
This is
the
a
parameters
freak.
are so clear that we're able to
Yeah.
like more easily be like, well, it
You
was this
pinpoint
tumor
it.
versus like it was the fact that he was like traumatized as a child and
Right.
exposed
And
to blah, blah,
trauma
blah.
has physical impact on the brain.
Right.
Like that
Yep.
it is a physical change and a chemical change that happens in your brain as a result of trauma, which can cause this kind of behavior.
right.
So this is from The Independent. Quote, scientists concluded that the tumor interfered with the orbifrontal cortex, nailed it, which helps to regulate social behavior and likely exacerbated his pre-existing interest in pornography. So not like anything out of the who's not interested in pornography? I mean, come on, show me one.
right.
We're wired to be interested in pornography unless
Exactly.
you're asexual.
And quote from the scientists, not from me, manifesting sexual deviancy and pedophilia. Doctors said that this was the first known case of pedophilia being caused by a tumor. The tumor had cast him into the fraught situation where he lost control of his sexual impulses while his knowledge of wrong and right was preserved. His only focus was short-term sexual reward, despite being acutely aware of the long-term consequences, end quote. So earlier, I didn't include this, but like in my research, it was like, okay, well, he knew what was right and wrong, but the drive, like the impulse was so strong that he wasn't able to morally override the impulse. Like it was
Wow.
still, he was at a crossroads where it was like impossible and he didn't fucking know what was going on.
And it also sounds like, well, with the child sexual abuse images, it sounds like he was hiding it.
He was, because again, he knew it was wrong.
Right.
He didn't want people to know.
But with his stepdaughter, it doesn't sound like he had groomed her at all.
No.
And therefore, it
It was
probably
out
made
of the blue. Assault.
Again, it was
reporting it easier.
It's like he was trying to mitigate harm with the CSAM, which again does not mitigate harm,
No.
but this is what's going on in his now proven to be
It
altered
doesn't mitigate
brain.
harm. It distances
Correct.
responsibility.
Right. So he was like trying to curb these urges and then it escalated so quickly. I mean, this was happening over the course of like a handful of months where
Right.
out of the blue this is happening, where nothing like this had happened before with him,
Well,
which is
I also think
terrifying.
that could be the case with a lot of pedophiles. I don't know this for sure, but like having that ethical moral compass, right and wrong, if you don't have that at all, that's a sign of psychopathy. But there are plenty of pedophiles who are not psychopaths.
Well,
Like,
the
I think that-
majority aren't. And
Yeah.
we're kind of going to get to that in this
Right.
next part. So
Okay.
most professionals agree with this diagnosis in this specific case, citing overwhelming evidence that sexual disorder behavior most often begins before puberty because of the result often of a trauma or some sort of pre-existing psychological disorder that may have gone undiagnosed, and then escalates over time when it's left to basically run rampant without treatment. Whereas this behavior in this specific case was so sudden and recurring with the presence of the tumor. So that's like where the two big
Right.
differences are.
And other symptoms of a neurological
Correct.
disorder.
Yep.
The balance, the writing.
And like so
Exactly.
egregious.
So egregious. And obviously, sexual disorders, especially those that lead to child sexual abuse, are hard to accept and extremely hard to forgive. But it's worth noting that societal stigma is part of what keeps people suffering from sexual disorders from reaching out for help. Which is
we've gotten emails about that. And
it's tough. It's really hard not to villainize people who sexually abuse children. All I want to fucking do is have it be cut and dry, black and white, that is so wrong and so fucked up, lock them away forever. I'm not absolving that behavior in any way, but we do need to allow people to seek help before it escalates in an environment where they will not be completely cast out for coming forward about their urges to like medical professionals who can help them and then keep them from escalating to a point where they are seeking out, child exploitation and abuse or actually coming into sexual abuse contact with a child. Yeah. I don't have an answer to this conundrum. I really don't.
I feel like that is a very, very tricky line to walk and probably, requires a lot more study and expertise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a conversation that a woman named Dr. Sarah Good, who has committed much of her career to studying pedophilia, has been like pushing for a really long time, emphasizing that the way patients with sexual disorders are treated medically does need to change. She says, quote, an important aspect of pedophilia for many people is that point when they first realize they have this involuntary sexual attraction. It is a great shock for many young people who feel horrified, shamed, disgusted by themselves, and suicidally desperate and lonely. Yeah. They feel unable to reach out for help, and this is the point at which society needs to ensure that they have the key messages that help is available, that like they're not the only people who have ever had these thoughts, and they're not doomed to become abusers, but can make moral choices to stay law-abiding. And if like that, at least that access...
Yeah, I think that's probably the line. It's like if you're having these thoughts and you seek treatment and do everything you possibly can to follow that treatment and admit if that treatment is not working.
Yes. And I think that's where that line gets so blurry.
Before you take actions that are criminal.
Yeah. Exactly. It's such a fucking hard conversation because... Like I said, I wish it were a more black and white issue, but it's just not. These people, 9 times out of 10, are ill, are sick. And like Lucy said, your sickness isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to treat it so that you do not harm others and you don't harm yourself.
Yeah, and it doesn't excuse any of the harm that you do commit.
Fuck no. In fact, if you are like diagnosed with a sexual disorder and you are high risk of harming another individual, especially children, then you have to be so over the top careful. And like tuned in with your thoughts and feelings and your therapist and whatever is needed.
I'm sure it requires
constant
significant sacrifice to make sure that you are preventing yourself from harming others.
Correct.
Yep, which is we've gotten emails about like that island where
they send like serial sexual offenders.
I think it's voluntary.
I think they do. I think they get sent there voluntarily.
It's like an option.
I talked about it really off the cuff because it was on an episode of Oprah, and I think a couple of people have emailed me since then. But the name of it is escaping me. It's somewhere off the northwest coast of the U.S. It's like it's like an island, and they
don't have internet.
They don't have internet. They're not allowed like reading materials really, but they recognize that they are unable to resist further offenses, so they volunteer to live there so that they can just live their lives.
What are the alternatives?
Not in prison and not having
incarceration or continuously harming other individuals. You got to make the choice that's going to do the least amount of fucking harm.
Yeah. Right. So, it's like, I mean, it's similar to alcoholism. Like if you have the illness of alcoholism, having that illness is not your fault. Right. But if you drive drunk, you could kill someone. You're harming you're harming society even if you don't get in an accident.
The risk is too fucking high. Like it's just So this story inspired the Law & Order SVU episode head, which I fucking hate the name of, but I get
Head?
it. Yeah, because it's like something
Because
that
of his
happened in
head.
their
It
head.
should have been
Oh.
egg.
Right, egg
My
would have been better.
God. Could have been
This
a lot
is season
of other
5,
things.
season 5, episode 25, if you'd like to watch it. In the episode, it was a female principal who molested a young male student. As far as I could find in this case, the man in this case did not sexually assault any of his students. But again, I don't know because so much of this is like veiled in secrecy.
It's also interesting that in the episode they flipped the gender of the assailant, probably to garner
yeah.
more sympathy.
I also don't like that flippage aligned with the title head.
I know.
I don't like
It's
that.
all, it's a
Yeah,
little,
the title is really awful.
I mean, there's a lot about Law and Order that's a lot.
yeah.
I don't have another word for
I'm
it. other than-
Cheryl, fly me.
Get it together, Dick Wolf.
Come on, Dick.
And also, since this guy remained anonymous, I don't have any photos for this case. So there are 2. There's a screenshot from the episode
Nice.
and me Googling frontal lobe tumor and plopping that on the Drive blog. So those are my photos.
I think that checks out.
I agree. I hit every note. I
Mhm.
didn't misunderstand the assignment. And that is my case.
Well done.
Nice. Oh,
Isn't
also,
Wild.
That
That
is
is-
so, it's so scary, and it really does like have so many implications for our justice system where like intent
Yeah.
and like
Law and Order criminal
mental
intent.
state
competency.
has like so much bearing on consequences
Yes.
and punishments for folks when like it really is. There's so much about 100 years from now, they're going to look back at our system and be like, they thought,
LOL,
what?
what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I hope
Yeah.
so.
Anyway.
Yeah, I love cases that have to do with like fucking brain tumors and the Huntington's.
Well, when I
the
was
brain is so
researching-
fucking wild.
I thought I would love this. And then I got halfway through my research and went, I'm never sleeping again. And I want to schedule an MRI, a preventative MRI.
Yeah, preventative
Just a mammogram, an MRI.
A mammogram, a pap smear, a preventative MRI. I'm like texting my doctor, like, Dr.
Yeah.
Heather.
Your annual dental cleaning.
Remember how the last time we had an appointment, you asked me what I did for work, and I like explained, well, okay, well, I'm gonna do an
Well,
MRI.
this now I have a new request.
Yep. And she's gonna be like, cool.
I
A
need a
preventative
referral.
stand-up MRI.
I need a preventative stand-up MRI.
ladies'
I
night.
get migraines, and I was gonna just use that as an excuse to try Botox.
You need to get an MRI because I
Yeah.
swear to God, if you have a brain tumor and you turn into a predator,
I certainly don't have any urges. Putting
at
that out
all,
there.
not
I
a
have
single
migraines.
urge.
I have
you
occasional
do have
migraines,
migraines.
and
I
I need
don't know.
Keep an
Botox.
eye on this bitch.
Sus.
Sauce. Soup
On
sauce.
that note,
Hashtag sus.
thank you. Special thanks this week to our fan picker, Jabby Mueller or Mueller.
It's because of
Or
you that I will
Gabby.
not be sleeping for the next
Yeah.
several weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I won't be sleeping until I research whatever comes next, and then that will keep me up at night. At
Yeah.
least I have replacement therapy.
It's only a matter of time. We're recording another episode tomorrow morning, so you'll
Yeah,
only
you're
have
right.
this nightmare
Yeah.
for
And my
Well,
case
right.
tomorrow is real dark. So get
18
buckle
hours.
up.
Good. Oh, good.
great.
Okay.
Great.
Well, we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
A Dick Wolf Productions.
Ba-ba-ba-da-boo. Bow, 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 bow.